I just had coffee with someone who suggested that I needed to add more credibility to my online business. So I asked him, I put in my bio that I built a $40 million sales team. You don't think that's enough? And he goes, yeah, I didn't really believe that, at your age. So I'm like, what is this guy, a sexist or something? Doesn't believe a woman my age is capable of building a business? So I asked him, why don't you think a woman my age could build a $40 million business? And he goes, oh, it's not that I think you could, and it's just that I don't know how you could. So it became clear to me in that moment. It's not that he didn't think I could, he just didn't know how because he's never seen it done before. So he assumed it was a fabrication, right? Do you want to know how? I asked. He says, yeah. So this is what I told him. It all started because I hate sales. I hate everything about it, but I needed a job and my dad was a sales trainer. He finally convinced me to work with him for a healthcare startup in New York. He wrote a book called The Spirituality of Success, Getting Rich with Integrity, but still I doubted everything that he taught me. That doesn't feel right. Aren't you really just lying? That's manipulation, Dad. That came in handy because I would attract the same kind of idealistic salespeople on my future team. But I started selling anyway. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I followed the formula every time. By my second year in sales, I was generating over $1 million in personal sales and six-figure commissions. Break that down, the average sale was around $450 a month or $5,400 a year, and I was making around 4 to 5 sales per week. To make 4 to 5 sales, I had to have 7 to 8 appointments. To get 7 to 8 appointments, I had to make at least 200 calls. 80% of those would be voicemails, but I knew I could book appointments with about half of those. I knew my numbers. My close ratios were high, and I had a strict schedule. Mondays and Fridays, I worked from the office, setting appointments. I was in the field Tuesday through Thursday, one weeknight, and never on weekends. And I was taught that the best way to develop a sale is to develop a relationship, and the best way to develop a relationship is face-to-face. Every time I cut that corner, I regretted it. For my very first week, though, I was the top salesperson in the company, and I wasn't really sure why at the time. Most of the others had years of sales experience behind them, and they thought I must be getting some kind of special treatment. But they never considered that I was investing more. I made more phone calls than anyone else. I sent more emails. I went to more networking events. I networked online. I got speaking engagements, advertised, cold call, went door to door, did blog posts, got PR. I even got a client to feature me in her public access TV show in Staten Island. I followed the rules. I read every sales book and invested in every seminar. I had to alter a lot of it to avoid the persona of an icky, sleazy, annoying salesperson without denying that sales is a system and a formula. I knew my product and I knew my competitors' products inside and out. I really cared about my clients and I was passionate about what I was selling. We were up against some big giants in the industry and I really wanted us to win. I learned how to take the ego out of selling and deal with rejection. I learned that sales is an art and a science and a craft that must be mastered. It's not just about giving information or wanting to help people. It's about influencing because people inherently do not want to change. It's a law of nature. It's also about doing the right thing for the customer every time, even if it means losing the sale. Then I was promoted to sales trainer. I had to learn how to train others. This is a totally different skill set. Duplicating yourself and others means you have to know exactly what you're doing to get success. I documented my entire process. I tried to put into words what I experienced in the field, how to handle all different scenarios and different types of people. My emotional quotient was high because I studied acting in college, but how do you teach that to someone else? This was the biggest challenge in sales training. As a trainer, I would earn override commissions on their sales. So if I could train 10 people to do half of what I was doing, it was like having 3 of me in the field. And I did. And our sales went up to $4 million a year. After another year, I moved up to sales management as regional vice president of sales. Now I would have to train other trainers, recruit new agents onto the team, and open up channel partners through business development efforts. I read all the sales management and leadership books I could get my hands on because this was also now a totally new skill set. I had to be a leader more than a producer. I had to show people a vision and convince them to come into a commission-only sales position because the long-term payout would be worth it, and I had to be proof of that. I was faced with the new challenge of being perceived as just another icky, sleazy, annoying independent sales opportunity. I had to pay for my own office for my team in the financial district, provide phones and computers, and even take out the garbage. I transferred my sales skills into recruiting skills. Recruiting is a sale in itself. I was interviewing 20 to 50 new salespeople a week. I learned how to predict sales performance based on the interview process. I later put it into an algorithm so I didn't always have to be the one conducting the interviews. Once I learned that, I had more predictable hires and invested in people who were most likely to perform. This had nothing to do with their past sales experience. I saw others make the mistake of hiring people based on experience alone, and it rarely worked out. It had everything to do with me and my trainer's ability to train them and my ability to lead them. I hired all kinds of people too, all kinds. There's all kinds of prospects out there after all, so it makes me queasy to see how homogenous some sales teams are. Our team was not going to be like that. I invested in sales recruiting fairs and online services. We interviewed thousands and we trained hundreds. I gave everyone who wanted one a chance. I knew the numbers of the business inside and out, but the people were not a numbers game to me. People were putting their trust in me to feed their families and their dreams. My office had a couch in it. People would rest in there and share their struggles, way beyond work struggles. And I didn't have the answers. I still wasn't even 30 at the time, but I could listen and I could empathize. It proved to me more and more that we really are all the same inside. We just have different stories. I had to fire a lot of people over the years. I learned the art of letting people go graciously. I knew there was something better for them, and they knew it too. I never had anyone leave my office angry because they knew we had invested in them. Everyone earned their way every day. I invested my commissions back in the team. I paid for leads from a third party for the first 3 months of each new agent's business while they learned to generate their own leads and build a word-of-mouth business. I only accepted full-time agents because I knew that was the commitment level necessary to achieve success. I took their spouses and partners out to dinner on day one because I knew how important their support was at home. I took them on rewards trips, dinners. I loved putting together contests. If they won, I would win. It was such an easy formula, but others weren't willing to do it. I praised them publicly and criticized them privately. I challenged them to dream bigger. I invested in my team and I invested in my community. The universe pays you back. Money should not be hoarded. This was one of the many spiritual laws of the universe I learned in sales and sales management. People look at sales as competitive, winning, me versus my prospect, hunter mentality, kill, 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 me versus my sales agents. The way some sales managers talk about their salespeople, it's no wonder they don't want to perform. No wonder they're not loyal. I never had anyone leave to sell for another company. Never. They left for other reasons, but not for that. Managing commission-only salespeople had the added challenge of convincing them every day to show up because they're not getting paid a salary, and had the added challenge of not being able to enlist quotas but convince people to set high expectations of themselves because most people assume they're capable of very little. That is the very essence of management versus leadership. I opened up partner channels. I landed one of the largest partners in the industry. People ask how. I say I called them, and I kept calling until someone called me back. And then they said no, but I kept calling anyway just to check in. Finally, one day they said, "We're ready." There's only so much you can control about a sale, but when things are aligned, you need to be there. They need to find you. They need to have your number ready, and you need to answer the call. They need to remember your name. They wanted to meet over the phone. I insisted on flying across the country to meet them. Again, many others would not have invested their own money in the maybe, but I know sales is about relationships. I had to convince them to do business with us, and I had to convince the company to do business with them because there was risk on both sides. But we won the business and their friendship, and I'm still friends with people I met on the very trip. Still, it took over a year to bring in their first piece of business. It didn't matter because we were producing directly anyway. You can never depend on one person or channel market to bring in all of your business. I couldn't even depend on myself. I was in and out of the hospital with Crohn's disease at the time, and I learned that having to work from a hospital bed is not something I should be proud of. I learned how to make a team run itself. Instead of sales manager, I had to be a business owner. I had to master systems. Nothing could be solely dependent on me. I created a sales manual or sales playbook that standardized our success formula. So all the trainers were teaching the same thing, and it would always be comprehensive. We would run weekly boot camps for new salespeople. We had to get them producing quickly so they could earn commissions. We didn't have the luxury of a ramp-up period. There were new challenges every week. I wanted to quit. My husband had to convince me every Sunday night not to. I learned not to do anything you could pay someone else to do. I worked 3 days a week. I had 2 assistants, one to run the office, one to handle the special channel partner. Once they started producing, the floodgates opened. I was still there. I didn't quit. Even still, they only represented about 30% of the book of business. Customers renewed. We took care of them. We stayed in touch. We sent birthday cards and holiday wishes. How did I learn all this? I studied successful people. As they say, success leaves clues. It's really not that difficult. You just have to act as if and copy what successful people do. What do successful people do in your industry? Copy it. If they're truly successful, they love giving back, and they'll agree to mentor you if you truly want to do the work. I invested back into the company during a private offering. I was the only woman in the stockholders meeting. I was the only woman at management meetings. I was the only woman often in sales presentations. I got used to being the only woman in the room and also the youngest in the room. If people had preconceived notions about me, I used it to my advantage instead of getting insulted. I love surprising people. It's also one of the beauties of being an independent salesperson. You're not subject to the same corporate politics as other companies. Your performance speaks for itself. Look, I know how I come across. I've studied how people respond to me. I'm very aware of human behavior and quickly catalog reactions and behaviors. It's all on purpose. The way I look, what I say, how I communicate new ideas, it's all on purpose so I can fulfill a higher purpose. After 3 years as a sales manager, we had built up to 5 trainers, 30 full-time producing reps, and multiple channel partners. Commissions and renewals stacked upon each other, and we grew to over $40 million a year in annual recurring revenue, which equated to around 7,500 renewing customers before the company was finally purchased. So that's how I did it, I told him. Impressive, he says. Now I train others how to do it one-on-one or in my do-it-yourself digital course, How to Design Your Own Sales Playbook for startups, social entrepreneurs, and salespeople who want to scale their sales quickly without being icky, sleazy, or just plain annoying. It documents this exact formula in a fully comprehensive 13-module course. You can grab your free $40 million sales plan template by visiting template.jpmpartners.com.